annual Paris Agricultural Show is underway. This week, we've got a special segment on agriculture here on Live from Paris. For today's segment, France 24 followed a family of farmers who've witnessed the industry's evolution. We're also taking you to Egypt to see how the revolution there has changed agriculture. Luke Brown reports.
Hello and welcome to France 24's special edition from the Paris Farm Show. As you can see, thousands of people have turned out to see the best of French livestock. It's also an opportunity for French farmers to show off the cream of their flock. France 24 has been meeting with some of the Rosette winners, including a family that's been raising cattle for generations. They are, though, today more of an exception as more and more young people turn away from farming. Julien Sauvager, Georges Yazbek and Siobhan Silka report.
A proud son joins his father in the show ring. Their beautiful Normandy cow Clochette has just won a prize at the National Agricultural Competition. Even at a healthy 800 kilos, she's not too much for young Tom to handle.
I have the second place plaque. It's great.
Are you happy?
Yes, I'm happy.
Clochette is almost 7, Tom is 9. They've practically grown up together on the land where Dad Thomas himself was raised. There, Tom is learning the trade and already talks about running the family farm one day. Thomas isn't putting any pressure on his son, but he's thrilled to be able to share his love of farming and see Tom taking after him.
I'm proud. You could say it's any parent's dream to have a child who follows in your footsteps. But that's if circumstances allow. If they do, I'll say yes, you should take over the farm. If farming doesn't pay in the future, there'd be no point. But having a son whose passion is farming, what could be better?
In France, there's a long tradition of family agriculture, but it's one that lost ground as the children of farmers saw firsthand how difficult the life is. France's Young Farmers Union is trying to change that perception.
Farming today doesn't compare to the farming of 15 or 30 years ago. There are ways of being able to take holidays. High-performance machinery means there's less and less of manual labor. There's a real evolution of agriculture.
And that evolution is attracting a different kind of young farmer to the sector. Today in France, around a third of new farmers have no family background in agriculture. What they share with those who do, like Tom, is a passion for the land.
We're heading to Egypt now. We're in the 3 years since the revolution. The lack of strict regulations and any real oversight has increasingly seen urban developments encroaching on agricultural lands. That situation exacerbated by the population boom. Egypt's population soon to reach about 90 million inhabitants. Catherine Stapley and Sonia Driddy report.
Here in the Nile Delta, these fields produce around half of Egypt's agricultural crops. But these fertile farmlands are shrinking fast as a building boom is underway. Since the 2011 revolution, the number of homes built illegally on farmland has risen exponentially. Egypt's population has grown by 4 million in the past 3 years, and more people means more houses are needed. Farmers here say around 20% of the Delta's arable land has been lost since 2011.
People went down and built on the farmland intensively, and there was no one to bring them to account. So, of course, after the revolution, there were a lot of complaints regarding the farmland.
There is a law prohibiting construction on valuable agricultural land, but the government says it's nigh on impossible to enforce.
It's not possible to be done by law, by force. It has to be a society movement rather than a police movement.
Egyptian farmers are also facing a water crisis, a lack of both quantity and quality. At this farm just outside Cairo, they found a solution. They're adapting the traditional way of farming using innovative hydroponic techniques that use much less water.
In this pipe system, the water is being recycled. It goes and comes back, and also it injects the nutrients the plant needs.
It could also be the answer to the loss of farmland, as it needs much less soil and still generates a high return.
1 hectare in these growing conditions is like 10 hectares in traditional production.
Now Munir's aim is to show other farmers that methods like this could provide a viable future for Egyptian agriculture.
That's where we leave it. In the next edition, we'll be visiting a French high school where the students learn agricultural trades and taking a closer look at farming and modernising farming in Africa. So until next time, goodbye.
You're watching live from Paris. It's time now for web news, including the death of an Australian TV presenter throwing the spotlight on cyberbullying. But first, opposition activists in Ukraine take us inside the home of the ex-Attorney General.
After storming the suburban Kiev estate of the ousted president this weekend, Ukraine's anti-government protesters have now taken over the home of a former high-ranking regime official, the ex-Attorney General, Viktor Pshonka. A lavish mansion, which, just like Viktor Yanukovych's abode, has been full of surprises. As we can see from these photos posted online by activist Chubak Evan, the former Attorney General was also living in astonishing luxury. Extravagant interior design, complete with the very latest in high-tech equipment and gadgets, and not to mention the indoor swimming pool and jacuzzi. Web users say the opulence is proof of large-scale corruption within the government. And some are also making fun of Viktor Pshonka's taste in home decor, sharing these photos showing a porcelain dog sitting in a living room, gold taps in the bathroom, and the gaudy flamboyant style of certain rooms around the plush villa. The photos also suggest Viktor Pshonka has a somewhat overinflated ego. As we can see, he's rather partial to hanging portraits of himself. And some of the paintings are a bit tacky. This one, showing the ex-Attorney General dressed up as Caesar, for example, is proving particularly popular online. Australian web users have been reacting to the death of Charlotte Dawson. The 47-year-old model and TV personality was found dead in her Sydney home on Saturday. And while initial findings in the investigation are pointing towards suicide, many have taken to Twitter to share their sorrow. Comments often tinged with anger, as some web users believe the constant abuse from cyberbullies on social networks prompted Charlotte Dawson to take her own life. She had been bombarded with bullying messages from online trolls for 2 years, web users posting death threats or encouraging her to commit suicide under the Die Charlotte hashtag. The top model had attempted to take her own life in August 2012, telling the Twitter trolls they got what they wanted. But she went on to play an active role in anti-bullying operations. And now Australian web users are continuing the campaign, using the hashtag Charlotte's Law, urging the authorities to tighten up regulations on cyberbullying. A petition's also been started calling on the Australian government to punish anyone infringing existing legislation. It's proving pretty successful so far, with over 139,000 signatures and counting. British web users have been joining the Bangers to Cancer campaign on Twitter and Facebook to raise funds for breast cancer awareness. Launched a few weeks ago, it consists of sharing a photo of yourself in a bra, holding a sign with details on how to donate to the cause, and nominating 3 others to do the same. Money raised goes to the UK charity Breast Cancer Care. Google-backed initiative Global Forest Watch was launched last week and aims to provide near real-time information on deforestation around the world. The interactive map will use satellite imagery and scientific data dating from the year 2000 onwards to visualise and track the impact of global deforestation. It will also use data from people on the ground, so web users can get actively involved, sharing information about deforestation in Peru, for example, or unauthorised logging in the Congo. For his spring-autumn project, Singaporean artist Kozop photographed young people swapping clothes with their parents and grandparents. He wanted to explore age stereotype and the role of clothes in society, particularly in Asian nations, where the traditional clothing or ethnic attire is often in stark contrast with the more contemporary styles worn by younger people. Here's the latest offering from American comedy collective Dos Padres, the team that reenacts scenes from well-known movies, dressed up as giant bananas, tomatoes, corn on the cob, and even hunks of cheese. And this time they've paid tribute to the 1995 thriller Seven, directed by David Fincher. And you can check it out in its entirety on YouTube.
He wants you to shoot him.
You tell me that's not true! That's not true!
Become vengeance, tomato.
You tell me she's all right!
Become wrath.
You're the one who made her scrumptious, tomato.
No! 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 Oh, fuck, he shot him!
You're watching Live from Paris. It's time now for a short break. When we come back, I'll have the headlines for you. I'll also be joined by Lisa Nesselson, our film critic. She'll be taking us through some of the releases for the film releases here in France. And there you're seeing some maize. We'll also be talking about genetically modified crops. Stay tuned for that and plenty more.